Hello everyone, welcome to all. In the previous session, we have discussed about some kinds of displacement sensors as well as the velocity sensors. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the motion sensors. What are the kinds of motion sensors? How do we specify the motion? Okay. So in case of motion sensor, basically we have primarily we have two kinds of sensors, and the first one is the stroboscope. Stroboscope is nothing but it looks like this one. Okay, this is the stroboscope. It's the ideal example of stroboscope. And the second one is the pyroelectric sensors. So pyroelectric sensors is nothing but some we have some resistance here, and while we apply some voltage here, it's getting heated. So while getting heated, here the charge of the resistance is getting dispersed. Okay, dispersed. So the amount of let's see what will happen. Okay, so in case of motion sensor, the stroboscope is consists of a source of variable frequency flashing light. Okay, variable frequency flashing light that can be controlled by the operator. So we have a variable frequency flashing light, and so which is appears here. Okay, variable frequency. So with the frequency of the light will be adjusted. It might be adjusted. Okay, by the scale. Okay, the distinctive mark is made on the shaft. Okay, suppose in this situation we just made a one mark here. Okay, actually this is the shaft which motion is to be measured, being to be measured. Okay, so in this situation we just put a mark on the shaft. Okay, and then next we have a differentiated frequency of light. Okay, in this situation, so and the next, the stroboscope is made to flash light directly on the mask. Okay, so we just allow the entire light onto the over the mask, over the mark. Okay, so the flashing frequency is adjusted till mark appears. Okay, so whether the mark will be appeared or not appear is where we observe is, so here the manual, so where the manual adjustment device, through the manual adjustment device we just focus our light on the particular mark only. Okay, we just go through the particular mark. Okay, so we can adjustable the, so it's up to the adjustment of the mark, adjustment of the light is up to whenever the mark will appear. So up to the mark appears, we go on to the adjustment, and then flashing frequency is adjusted till the mark appears. Okay, stationary. Okay, so up to the mark appears stationary, we go through the flashing frequency is adjusted, is gone through be adjusted. The stroboscope, the dial may be directly calibrated to given speed. Okay, so and then later the finally you can calibrate it the given speed. So how does it happens? How does it happen? So let's go for the problem here. So a sample example of how does we go for the stroboscope. Okay, how do we calculate this value of the stroboscope? Okay, so the speed of the flywheel. Suppose we have a speed of a flywheel on an engine is to be measured using the stroboscope for a single mark. Okay, so I have a flywheel here. Suppose I have an engine which has a flywheel and which is measured to be using a stroboscope. Okay, for a single mark. Okay, after setting of 2800 RPM on the stroboscope, the stationary picture of 4 marks is observed. Stationary picture of 4 marks is observed. So what is the speed of the flywheel? Okay, so after the we have a RPM here, 2500 RPM here, 2800 RPM here. So on the stroboscope, the stationary picture of 4 marks is observed. Not only 1 mark is there, or 4 marks is there. So what is the speed of the flywheel? So then the speed of the flywheel equals just 2800 by 4, just 700 RPM. Okay, 700 RPM, like that's it. So in case of pyroelectric sensors, the pyroelectric materials generates electrical charge when the heat flows through it. Okay, whenever we supply the heat source to the supply particular body, particular materials, which is called a pyroelectric materials, which is has the capable of generates electrical charge itself. Okay, the examples of such materials are lithium, tantalum, tantalite, etc. These are the materials. Lithium, tantalite. These are the materials are made up of for the pyroelectric sensors. So these material consist of polarized pyroelectric crystal. Okay, so this materials have a consist of some kind of polarized pyroelectric crystal with thin metal film. Okay, we have some thin metal film. Electrodes on opposite face. Okay, between the two poles we have a thin electrical pin. So if it's a pin, you can call it as a polarized pyroelectric crystal. Okay, when a pyroelectric materials are heated to about 600 degrees centigrade. Okay, observe guys. So the material has allowed to heat up to the 600 degrees centigrade. So almost above the recrystallization temperature. So in an electrical field, okay, in an electrical field, we just allow the entire material up to the 600 degrees centigrade. The electrical dipoles within the materials lineups, and they become polarized as shown in figure. Okay, so the electric materials dipoles within the material lineup when they become polarized. So he says that. So in the figure point A, he had no radiation, infrared radiation, no incident. So we have a no infrared radiation here. Charges are balanced. So we have a thin film here in between this film. So in between, and then over the two sides of the film, we have a balanced charge is there. So most 5 particles of positive and 5 particles of negative. Okay, obviously. And then later, whenever we supply the some amount of heat to the particular material, so it has some kind of polarization. Okay, polarization is nothing but it may be differences of number of particles. Okay, number of charge. So here, whenever we just heated up to the 600 degrees centigrade, the infrared radiation will be is radiation. So as we know that conduction, convection, radiation. So here the radiation. So some kind of the material possesses some kind of radiation. Through this radiation, it has some kind of polarization is happened. Polarization is nothing but some kind of simplification of the charges. Okay. So as I discussed earlier, the electrical dipoles within the materials line up and they become polarized. Okay, as shown in figure like 2.34a. Okay, so as shown in figure like this one. Okay, so the charged particles are getting polarized here. When the crystal is polarized with the charged surfaces, when the crystal, so this is the crystal here. These two plates are crystal. Okay, polarized crystal made up of polarized crystal. We can call it as a okay. And then next the measurement of when a crystal is polarized with the charged surfaces, the ions are drawn from the surrounding air. Okay, ions are drawn from the surrounding air. Ions are drawn from the surrounding air. And then next, the electrons from the any measurement circuit are connected to the sensor to balance the surface charge. As shown in figure. So in this diagram, whenever the material is getting heated up to the 600 degrees centigrade, then outer layer we have two layers. Outer layer is made up of some kind of crystal which piezoelectric crystal. Okay, polarized pyroelectric crystal. Okay, so we have a crystal here. So this is the crystal portion, thin wall. It has whenever it's getting heated to up to 600 degrees centigrade, the electrons, the surrounding air, so ions are drawn from the surrounding air. Okay, and the ions are drawn from the ions is nothing but like this one. Ions are drawn from the surrounding air. Ions is nothing but the positive, and the electrons are nothing but the negative. The electrons are from any measurement circuit are connected to the sensor. Okay, electrons of any measurement which is connected to the sensor, which is connected to a sensor to balance the surface charge. Okay, to balance the surface charge. I show you like this one. Okay. Like this one. Okay, capacitance, we have a capacitance here, we have a resistance here, we have a some kind of current meter here. Okay, ammeter, like this one is no is there like the ammeter. Okay, so the measurement of a human or heat source motion, the sensing element has no differentiate between the general background heat radiation and moving test sources. Okay, what does it means that the whenever we just made whenever the human or he shows motion, whenever you give you motion, the sensing element has, so everybody has a pursuit some kind of motion here. So while in motion it has the ability some kind of heat will be developed within the body. So while we are running in the running motion, or while we walking, or while we jumping, while we dancing, some kind of heat is liberated within the body. So the sensing element has to differentiate between the general background heat radiation and moving heat source. Okay. The sensing element has to differentiate between these two different background heat radiation as well as the moving heat source. Therefore, a single pyroelectric sensor cannot be used, and hence dual pyroelectric sensor are used. So here only two kinds of sensors only. So we can't perform entire operation with only single sensor. That's why we go for this double sensors. Okay. Therefore, a single shown in figure point figure C. In this dual pyroelectric sensors, both sensors receive the same heat signal and their output is as getting cancelled. Okay. Having the same sensors are output of the are getting cancelled. So whenever it receives the same signal, same heat, the output will be cancelled. When the heat source moves from its position, a heat reaction moves from one of the sensing elements to the other. So the current alternates in one direction first and the reverse the other direction, like this one. What it indicates that here in the second case, in the first case, we have a no infrared radiation here. Whenever you just maintain a 600 degrees centigrade of temperature of outer surfaces, so the in the crystal part of you, in this crystal part of you, some kind of polarization has getting happened. Some kind of polarization is nothing but the suppose the the charges are transferring in your vice versa direction. Okay, so in order to getting balanced, when getting heated, so it may be leads to the unbalanced of charges. So in order to balance the charges, just polarization has happened. Polarization nothing but the balancing of the charges. Okay, so in case of, so entire brings in the entire into one circuit, entire particles into one circuit. We have a like this one. Okay, so we have a capacitor, we have a resistance, and we have a ammeter, and this we can't perform entire specification with one sensor. That's why we just we just go for the two dual sensors. Dual sensors are like this one. Okay, so these sensors has to differentiate between, the main purpose of the sensors is to differentiate between that what is the source, the motion of the source, heat source, and the heat radiation waves from the one sensing elements to the others. Okay, next first, and the reverse in the reverse to the other direction is nothing but the, suppose one sensor is supplying the sensing the supply source. Okay, and this sensor is sensing the infrared sensors. Okay, motion sensor. Okay, motion of the source. So by differentiate these two between, suppose if we have a same signals, same amount, the output will be getting cancelled. Okay, and then next one is the force sensors. Force, how do we measure the forces? Okay. How do you measure the force? Force is the physical quantity, as you know that produces a tends to produce a change in velocity and the shape of your object. All others of force measurement use some means of producing measurable balancing force. The following are the examples of sensors that can be measured, used to measure force. So as you know that, so F is directly proportional to K into X. K is the balance, some constant. Either maybe stiffness, or either maybe some elastic, either maybe some constant here. X is the displacement. So the whatever the force is directly proportional to the X is the displacement. Some we just may adapt here some constant here to in order to balance the uh, equilibrium. Okay. So the work on the principle of finding their deflection or strain produced in the body to measure force applied. So in this situation, the elastic loaded members, they work on the principle of finding deflection or strain produced in your body to measure the force applied. Okay. Where we go for the measurement of force, we just finding out the what are the deflection or strain produced within the body. Okay. So the strain or deflection can be measured directly or indirectly. Okay, we can measure directly from or indirectly using secondary transducer by converting displacement into another form of output, which is usually electrical in nature. Okay, so these are the kinds of possibilities we have to measure the forces. The various secondary transducer usually the conjunction with the elastic sensing elements or strain gauges, piezoelectric sensors, or transducers, or LVDT, linear variable frequency drive. Okay, linear variable differential transformer. Okay, LVDT. The basic relation used in the elastic sensing element is given by F equals to K into S. F is the, as I said that F is the applied force and K is the stiffness. It's nothing but the load per unit deflection. Stiffness, any which is considered in this particular in the spring convention. The displacement of the deflection will be the mm or meters. Okay, x is the displacement. So enter the force is directly proportional to the x. Okay, so in between we just adapt here one thing here, one parameter is which is called it as a stuff, which is called it as a stiffness. Stiffness is nothing but the Newton per load per unit deflection. Okay, what are the so load per unit deflection is nothing but the suppose we have here we need to maintain a 1 mm 1 centimeter 1 centimeter deflection deviation. So how much amount of load should be applied? Okay, how much amount of load should be applied, which is called it as a stiffness. Okay, so in this situation, in the second case, we have a 2 centimeters of deviation. Okay, 2 centimeters of displacement. Okay, how much amount of load has to be applied with the reference to the so in the earlier days we go for the gone through the we measure the displacement by applying the force, and in case of stiffness we measure the load by the displacement. Okay, stiffness of the load can be obtained from the deflection equation of the element. Okay, as usual, suppose we have a object is like here. Whenever W is applied here, bottom here, bottom of the equipment here, right, a load hook, free hand, spring, scale, spring. So it is called as some pointer here. Whenever you put in some load here, it getting some kind of deflection here. Okay, as you just what are the amount of deflection will be observed on the scale. Okay, so this is one. So this is the movable one, and which is connected to the fixed end by through the assistance of spring. Okay, so elements should give the maximum output per unit. For that, it should be sensitive as possible. The stiffness of the element should be very low, and practically this is not possible due to the limitation of the load carrying capacity limitation of the load carrying capacity. Therefore, in many applications, the elastic loaded members are selected in such a manner that they should give small deflection and hence low sensitivity and larger output. The most common elastic loaded members for the direct measurement of force are is nothing but some kind of a theory part is regarding to the how does the principle, how does the equipment is working, how does, okay. So this is the three kinds of parameters here. First one, the spring balance or coil springs. Okay, in this the completely spring balance equipment here. So we need to measure the forces. Okay, so these are the under the category of force sensors. How do you measure the force sensor? The first one is the spring sensor, spring type, spring balance. So in the spring balance, we have three parameters here. First one, the coil springs, and the next one is the proving rings, and the last one, the load cells. Okay. So in the coil springs, we have a formula like this one. So before it goes, let me describe about the spring balance is a device used for the direct measurement of force by using coil spring deflection. Okay. The spring balance is a device used for the direct measurement of force by using coil spring deflection. So here the main parameter, main note is coil spring. Based on the spring deflection, we've gone through the calculation of the forces. It consists of springs fixed and at one end, and the end is applied on the other end. Shown the displacement of free end is due to the applied force. Okay, the displacement of free end is due to the applied force. It's shown with the pointer moving on the scale. The deflection of spring in the force applied at the free end is given by the equation. So here the displacement of the displacement of is applied at the free end. Displacement of the force. So x equals to x is the displacement of displacement and is equals to the 8 times of f d cube and g d power 4. So whereas f is the applied force, d is the diameter of the spring, and small d is the diameter of the spring, and capital D is the mean coil diameter of the spring. Okay, capital D is the mean coil diameter of the spring, and n is the number of coils of the spring, and small n number of coils which has, and g is the modulus of rigidity of the spring material. From each equation, this equation, it is clear that deflection of linear function of force and can be directly used as a measure of the force. Okay, so this is the we have here. So in the spring balance, we just we are gone to through applying the force here in the bottom of the load, on the bottom of the equipment. So what are the displacement given? What are the displacement we need obtained from the scale on this display scale is by theoretically we have here some kind of problems. We have here some formula. So in formula, we need just consider this spring. What are the number of turns of the springs, as well as the what is the spring made up of, as well as the what is the material here. F is the force, and D, capital D is the mean coil diameter. Mean coil diameter of the spring is nothing but the spring is look like this one. Okay. So this is the mean coil diameter. So what are the internal, what is the in between the internal and external? We have here some mean circle here. Okay. So by considering the mean coil diameter, the spring has a like this one. Okay. And capital D is the mean coil diameter of the spring. Okay. And is the number of coils of the spring. So how does the number of coils 1, 2 like this one. And G is the modulus of rigidity. So shear strain. Okay. Spring materials. From the equation, it is clear that deflection is a linear equation for force and can be directly used as a measure of the force. Okay. The X will be find out. So here, if a spring transducer deflects 0.075 meters, then the force of 15 kilonewtons is applied. Find the input force for the displacement of 0.1 mm. So stiffness equals to force by displacement as usual. No? So we can find out the total value is the stiffness equals 200 kilonewton per meter. So whenever the force equals to this displacement into stiffness. Okay. like this one. So simply, so in case of one more cell say here, which are kinds of the, which are under the category of the force sensors. So how do we measure the force? By using some kind of hydraulic load cell here. Okay. So hydraulic load cells is nothing but the, we have a ram here, we have a container which is completely filled with a fluid here. So whenever we apply the force here, which gave due to the acting upon the due to acting on force, the fluid has getting some kinds of pressure. So pressure is built up within the fluid. So the amount of pressure will be ca- calculated by the pressure indicator here. So we just applied it. So we just data interface of the force to the pressure. Okay. So we the final output will be the pressure indicator. Pressure. The input is force. You just maintain some kind of relation is here. And the pneumatic load cell. Pneumatic load cell is nothing but the force here. A container is filled with the complete air. Pneumatic is nothing but the air. So it has a diaphragm like this one. This is the chamber, and the air is apply pressure here. So you have a nozzle here. Okay, is the pressure indicator. Nozzle is nothing for the vacant. Vacant is nothing but is just keeping on creating some kind of vacuum. So after the completion of load, the what are the air within the chamber which is getting released by the nozzle. Okay, pneumatic load cell. The cross sectional view of the pneumatic load cell shown in figure. The diaphragm of this type of load cell is made up of flexible material. Okay, the load cell is designed to automatically regulate the balancing of force pressure. Air pressure is applied to one side of the diaphragm, and it escapes through the nozzle placed at the bottom of the load cell. A pressure gauge is attached, and the load cell arrangements to measure the pressure inside the load cell. When the load is placed on the load plate, the diaphragm will be like this one. Will be deflate. Okay, the deflection and diaphragm affects the airflow through the nozzle, as well as the pressure inside the chamber. The variation of pressure measured by the pressure gauge attached to the arrangements. So like this one. So we just supplying the air to the bottom of the valve, air supply pressure. So after the whenever the force is applied, whatever the amount of so here the air pressure supplied one side of the diaphragm and escapes through the nozzle placed at the bottom of the load cell. The pressure gauge is attached with the load cell arrangements. Okay, measure the pressure inside the valve. So when the load is placed on the load plate, the diaphragm will be deflect. Deflection diaphragm affects the airflow through the nozzle as well as the pressure inside the chamber. So which indicates that actually initially the chamber is filled up of pneumatic. So whenever you supply the air, we just maintain some kind of pressure here, some amount of pressure initially, defaultly. So whenever we apply the force upon the diaphragm, it may be getting some deflection. So basic sense, through the basic sense, okay. And what are the deflection which causes to the some changes in pressure? Why? Because already the force is acted upon the diaphragm. So the amount of air is getting released by through the nozzle. So what are the so due to the releasing through the nozzle, the some pressure is we just observe some kind of difference between the differences of pressure. Okay, like this one. So through this one, now whatever the force will be applied is we can measure. And the next one is the strain gauge load cell. So like this one. Okay, so strain gauge is nothing but we just applying just arranging the sequence of resistance in a Wheatstone bridge series. Okay, like this one. So and the next, electromagnetic balance, press ductor. Up to now We will discuss in next class.